Bonnell Media 2019, South by Southwest, looking specifically at blockchain now this week. It's really hotting up here. I've got with me somebody who's just been speaking at Blockchain House. Very, very interesting talk.
Mike Walker with Microsoft, Senior Director of Technology Innovation.
Now, Philip, you had some questions for Mike when he was up giving the talk?
Yeah, I mean, I have those questions to all the big companies. One of our clients is also one of the big networks, one of the big four, or one of the big protocols, basically. You probably know which one. There's one. We see one massive market working in legal services and financial markets, which is the KYC problem, because this could be solved like in a nutshell. I mean, basically, I think it's a trillion, billion, whatever market in cost reduction. So I'm eager to hear and eager to find out what Microsoft has in the drawer for that.
Yeah, so that's a phenomenal question, and I tell you, it's one of our biggest scenarios that we see from our customers is really starting to understand not only from two sides. One, how do we better understand our customers so we can provide better customer service, but also from a legal and regulatory perspective on how to protect the company, especially as these new laws are starting to emerge, like GDPR, where it's top and foremost on not only the technologists and the CIOs, but this is a top-line business executive conversation that there is a lot of concern and stress around how do we make sure, one, the solutions we know about are protected, but there's also all those solutions that we don't know about. And so blockchain turns out to be a really great technology because its primary use case is to be able to have that trackability, that traceability built into the protocol. Rather, for me as an organization, I would have to architect and build all that functionality. It's out of the box with a blockchain solution. And that's what's really cool about blockchain solutions in the KYC space.
I have another follow-up questions because the biggest names in the industry coming out to Malta, at least with one or the other foot, basically. There's a lot of ideologists coming over, and when we're talking about the permission blockchain, for example, they say it's not real. Or it's not, and this is one of the things when I try to understand, like you said, this is the reality,
Yes.
And this is where you have to just accept it, that a business spending billions of dollars in something, and this is just out there, and it's not controllable for them anymore. So the permission blockchain is obviously something where Microsoft is also doing something,
Yeah, so, how we look at this is it's no different than, the past 30, 40 years in technology. When we started talking about service-oriented architecture, we had one idea of what that looked like when it first was established, and then it turned into something else. So like you said, we have to be practical and really look at the business value that this is going to bring back to us. So to answer your question directly, yes, Microsoft, we believe that the next big wave in blockchain is actually going to be in those permission blockchains, where we really take blockchain mainstream within the enterprise, where we're going to see those KYC examples, but also those track and trace scenarios where we see very real material issues, let's say in food quality, right? Where we've seen all those incidents, or maybe from a perspective of, I want to make sure that my supply chain, that I understand every point and I can optimize, especially in a highly competitive space, like the airlines, where there's extremely low margins, and how do I increase those margins? Well, it's by having better visibility and converting your analog assets to digital assets so we can better model and track and predict.
Okay, the last question I have is that in Malta we have the development now is a 360-degree framework, not only regulating the typical financial services like exchanges and ICOs, but also we are trying to regulate on a voluntary basis the technology. We call it the innovative technology arrangement. And there is, you can, so to say, get a technical administrator to audit your DLT, for example. And there's also thoughts of giving a smart contract legal personality. So, for example, it can be insured, or it can be sued, or whatever. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so the whole self-governing, aspect and building governance into the product. And, we see there's an enormous amount of momentum there. And we, as Microsoft, we're working with governments all around the world. One that I can talk about is the US Blockchain Caucus, where we're seeing legislation, come in the United States from a federal and a state level, addressing that very same issue about why are we making this more complex than what it needs to be. Let's simplify and let's actually have a smart contract that is a legal smart contract.